In the last section, we solved a little issue with duplicate dependencies. I now want to try taking this image ID right here and creating a container out of it, and then just making sure that we can access our development server. So I'm going to copy that ID, and I'll execute docker run, and then I'll paste that ID in. Now, when I run that, we're going to very quickly see our development server start up, and then we get a message right here that says we can access our development server by visiting localhost 3000. So let's try that out in our browser right now. I'll make a new tab and go to localhost 3000. And when I do, I see this site can't be reached. So remember, this is a little gotcha that we saw much earlier in the course. Anytime that we want to expose a port from our Docker image or the Docker container to our machine, we have to add on that -p flag to map out the ports that we want to expose. So I'm going to take port 3000 on my local machine and map it up to port 3000 inside the container. I'll then still paste the container ID, or excuse me, the image ID right after. Let's try running that again. We're going to see the development server start up. And again, we see starting up on localhost 3000. And now if I flip back over, chances are you'll see the page automatically refresh. If it doesn't, you can manually refresh and you should see the welcome message appear right here. Okay, so that's definitely a good start. I now want to try making a little bit of a change to the source code of the React project and just see what occurs. In my terminal, or excuse me, my code editor, I'm going to open up the src directory, and then I'll find the app.js file. Inside of here, you can scroll down a little bit and see the text that shows up on the lower half of the screen inside the browser. So it says to get started, edit source app.js. That is the text that shows up right here in the browser. So let's try replacing that text and just seeing what happens. So I'm going to highlight that entire line, I'll delete it, and I'm going to replace it with something like, hi there, like so. So I'm going to save that, and then if I go back over to my browser and refresh the page, well, of course, there's no change. Remember, this is what we saw before. When we start up our image, or when we initially create the image, we're essentially taking a snapshot of all of the source code inside of our project directory, and we're building our image with that snapshot. So if we want to somehow get changes to be reflected inside of our container after we make them, we need to either rebuild the image or figure out some clever solution. Well, of course, we probably do not want to rebuild the image every time we make a change to our source code. So let's take a quick pause right here. We're going to come back to the next section and figure out a clever solution to make sure that any changes that we make to our source code get automatically propagated into the container as well. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.